I'm Dean McKnight, and welcome to another edition of Taking Back Our Neighborhoods, an outreach program from Operation Our Town. Today, a really special show for you today. We have as our guest Randy Feathers from the Pennsylvania Office of the Attorney General, Toni Bilik from the Gloria Gates Memorial Foundation, Dawn Witherspoon from the Blair County NAACP, and Joe Hurd from the Blair County Chamber of Commerce. First, let's talk a minute about the mission statement of Operation Our Town. What we're trying to do is facilitate partnerships between businesses and the community to fight drug use and crime prevention, bringing together the resources of the community and the police departments and the communities themselves. Today, talking to Randy Feathers, we're going to find out a little bit about what's happening in our communities. Randy, tell me what's going on out there today.
Well, we're coming out of a period where we have had a lot of success with Operation Our Town, with the crime going down and the drug abuse going down to drug deaths. Right now, we're trying to maintain that. That's what's the most important thing. But drugs in this community and the crime that comes with the drugs is still the #1 problem we have here in Blair County.
In your mind, when you're having a meeting of law enforcement people or whatever, are there certain communities that tend to have higher proportions of crime and drug abuse than others?
That's tough to say. I mean, Altoona sometimes gets the reputation that all the drugs are in the city of Altoona, and we have more population there. But that's not true. We have a countywide drug problem. A lot of the people that are using drugs are from outside of Altoona. They come to Altoona maybe to get the drugs, but it's definitely a county problem.
So this leads me to ask, if I'm living in a particular community, I'm not immune to this. So what can the people do in their particular communities to get involved, to make this a more fair fight?
That's a good question, and that's sort of what Operation Our Town is all about. People tend to think that it's just law enforcement, but it's not. It's the community getting involved in the fight against the drug crimes. And the people can get involved in many different ways. I mean, we have different volunteer groups we can get involved in, but for just law enforcement-wise, I mean, we're starting neighborhood watches back up, and the community can get involved in that. I mean, the way things are right now with municipalities, the money's just not there anymore. The police numbers are down. This is a community problem, and we need community help.
This is my place. I live here. I need to protect it. Everybody needs to get involved.
Absolutely.
You heard what Randy just said. This isn't his problem, it's our problem. And so we all need to participate and do something. Operation Our Town's primary message this year is keep it safe, keep it going. When I say that, I think about the newspaper that I read every day, and I seem to see the same names over and over again. Why is that message important, and why do we need to get it out to people?
Well, I don't know who thought that message up, but they should be applauded. That's a great message because it's two things. I mean, keep it safe. That's the #1 priority. I mean, if we can't do anything, I know we have Joe Hurd coming up in this segment coming up here with businesses and stuff, and we can't bring new businesses. We can't even keep the businesses we have here if we can't offer a safe community for our kids and our family here. So the #1 thing, I believe, is a safe community. Everything starts from there. The second part of that is keep it going. We talked about the success that we've had lately with Operation Our Town, with the drug crime. We have to keep a thumb on these people. You just can't let it go, because it could go back the way it was like that. And we have to keep it going. We have to keep the positive things going in this community, and we just can't let up.
Why do I see the same names over and over, Randy? What causes that? The system to. I'm asking that as a question.
Well, that's frustrating at times, but we have all different drug programs. It's up to those people that go the wrong way to get themselves back on the right way. It's up to those individuals, and sometimes people tend to make the same mistakes over and over until it's too late. We do see a lot of the same names, and on those particular people, it's usually people that are having a drug problem, that are dealing low-level street deals, so to speak. So they're not getting the big sentences right away, so it takes 2 or 3 times before they're put in a state prison, till they finally get it.
So that's where the part of the equation that says drug treatment comes in.
Absolutely.
This isn't just about arresting people.
No.
This is about getting them off drugs.
Absolutely.
If you found somebody in the community and they were arrested for the first time, how then would they have an opportunity to take advantage of these treatment programs?
Well, I was part of the drug court program that President Judge Capriva helped start, and we all got together, law enforcement, prevention people, the judge, and we put this program together. And I think it's a great program. It's basically an 18-month program that people can take advantage of to get themselves off drugs. And basically, they're tested weekly. They're in front of the judge every 2 weeks or so, and they have to talk to the judge about how they're progressing and are they working, are they looking for work. I mean, there's opportunities out there, and it's very cost efficient. I mean, for what it costs for us to put somebody in jail compared to what it does to put them in a program like this, it's not even close. Plus, more importantly, like my mom used to tell me, it's the right thing to do. These are our kids, these are our citizens out there. We want to get them back into society. We want them to help raise their kids, and it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I think sometimes sometimes I will admit I forget that these are our children, and helping them is much more important than punishing them, because we need to make them productive citizens. Quite frankly, at my age, I want them paying taxes so I get my Social Security check on time.
Well, one of the misconceptions is that we talk about a lot of these out-of-town drug dealers, that they're the problem. They are the problem. They are bringing drugs in our community, but the business is here. These are our people that are buying these drugs and using these drugs. If we didn't have people that were using the drugs, these people wouldn't be coming into the Altoona area to sell the drugs.
Well, the last show we had on a druggist and a doctor, and we were talking about prescription drug abuse. That was a surprise to me. So I guess the problems that our communities face are constantly evolving and changing. What are the problems that our communities are facing in the future? What do you see happening?
Well, you sort of stole my thunder there. The prescription drug problem is, in my view, the biggest problem we have right now and in the future until we get till we figure out how to stop this. I mean, there's too much drugs being prescribed by doctors. That's my opinion. And if you get one or two, like called bad doctors out there that are over-prescribing, it could cause havoc in the community. And I see that on a regular basis. For example, our drug deaths, about 90% of our drug deaths, drug abuse deaths, are prescription drugs. I mean, people seem to think heroin and cocaine are killing people, but actually it's the prescription drugs, because people, they actually think it's okay to take prescription drugs, but you can abuse anything. And just because you get a prescription from a doctor doesn't mean that you can, it's not going to kill you.
Randy, I guess I've never been able to get my mind around the idea that a young person who seems to have the whole world in front of them would inject themselves with bath salts or do some crazy thing. But apparently nothing is safe. How do parents and grandparents protect themselves? What's your recommendation to them to protect themselves against somebody abusing their drugs?
Well, simple. I also think just be involved. Be involved. I know when I was growing up, maybe this is where I got my law enforcement background, my mother would constantly be searching my room, searching my clothes. I mean, there was no secrets in my house. There was no constitutional rights in my house. She was allowed to come in and check to see what I was doing, and she would know just about how much money I had in my pocket at all times. She was involved in my life. She knew what was going on, and that's what we need to do right now. You have to keep getting involved with your kids, even as a community. We need to, as a community, we need to be involved with our kids.
Yeah, that leads me to one of my other questions I had on my mind was, how do we keep our children from getting involved? And you're saying we need to get involved.
Absolutely.
We need to get involved in their life. We need to be parents. And that must be a tragedy when you go out and find some family that's been devastated by one of these things where one of the children is on drugs or whatever.
Oh, it's terrible. I mean, there's one politician, one wannabe politician right now that's talking about he thinks we should legalize drugs. I mean, spend a day with me. Spend a day having to go into somebody's living room and tell somebody's parents that their child is dead. I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
Randy, I'm impressed beyond belief that this entire Operation Our Town was initiated and founded and matured here in our area with our business leaders and our people saying, we're going to do something about it. And you've been involved with them since the very beginning. Tell us about some of the changes you think that Operation Our Town has brought to the communities.
I'm very proud to be part of Operation Art. I'm very proud of this community. The changes here have been dramatic. And it goes down to the smallest thing. I mean, it has enabled people to get involved in this fight. I always tell the stories years ago that we would do search warrants and people would be afraid. They'd hide in their houses. They wouldn't wonder the drug dealers that they were there. Now, when we do search warrants, there's the whole neighborhoods out there. They're proud. They want to get these drug dealers out of the neighborhoods, off the streets, and in jail. And they're part of the law enforcement community. And it's brought the law enforcement community a lot closer to the community.
So the push out the pusher hotline has had some effect.
Oh, God. It's rocking and rolling, and we get calls daily, and they've helped us with investigations. Not only that, the people that are dealing drugs out there, they know all about push out the pusher, and it intimidates them, and that's very important.
That's terrific. And I will again appeal to the public is this is not a job that can be done alone. They need help. They need your help. They need my help. They need all of our help. They need us to participate. They need us to contribute our time and our money. And people like Randy who are out there in the front line every day see the results of that kind of interaction with the community. And that makes this a kind of special place to live, doesn't it, Randy?
Absolutely. I raised my kids here, and I'd do it again. This is a great place to raise children, and Operation Our Town has even made this place a better place.
But was this your home originally, Randy? Were you always from this area?
Yes.
Your family here?
Yep, I'm a Prospect Park guy up at the Germans up there.
All right. It's up with the Germans.
Yeah.
Now, it's interesting that Randy should say that because this program is kind of focused on neighborhoods. And we're going to have a couple other guests on talking about local neighborhoods. And I know when I grew up, I had my neighborhood. And I know we're going to see Don Witherspoon in a couple minutes, and he's going to tell you how proud he is of his neighborhood. But I want to tell you my neighborhood beat his neighborhood once in a basketball game. And so we were very proud of that.
You beat him once.
Beat once, yes. And so maybe that's what makes this such a special place to live. Mm-hmm. We're not only proud of where we were raised, we're proud of the entire community.
Absolutely.
I mean, I see people in the street, and it's nice to smile, and you go into a restaurant, and I guess that's maybe what makes me proud of Operation Our Town. It's our neighbors helping us make our neighborhoods better. It's a special place, isn't it?
It is, and I think that the community, we didn't look for outside help to do this, and that's what makes it special. And this was our community. We took the bull by the horns, and we're making this community better, and that's important.
Randy, God bless you. You're a good man, and good luck in your endeavors.
Thank you very much.
Make it safe.
All right.
Being a good neighbor means always doing your part to help your community grow. That's why S&T Bank is proud to continue the work of Mainline National Bank by supporting Operation Our Town, a coalition of businesses united to keep central Pennsylvania communities safe to encourage positive growth. We are deeply rooted in central Pennsylvania, and we support your efforts to help our communities grow. At S&T Bank, we believe in relationship banking, one customer at a time.
Welcome back. Our guest right now is Toni Bilik. Toni is representing the Gloria Gates Memorial Foundation, and I must confess, I'm not real familiar with that, Toni. Tell us what the Gloria Gates Foundation is.
The Gloria Gates Foundation sponsors after-school programs, and currently in 3 of Altoona's low-income housing developments, but in the fall we'll open our 4th site, which we are very happy about. We are in Evergreen Manors, Fairview Hills, and Logan Hills, and we are there for the kids. When we talk about Operation Our Town, and we talk about the problems that are in the community, we're trying to be there at the grassroots, just trying to prevent some of the problems. The kids that we work with, and face it, the kids all over Blair County are exposed to drug abuse, and we are there to support them and encourage them and to just give them a lot of hope in life so that they keep looking to the future. They'll have a really good reason to refrain from any type of drug abuse. They'll just have hopes and dreams, and like any student that you see that really knows what they want in the future, they have no reason at all to take part in any kind of drugs or any kind of dangerous activity.
Wow, that's wonderful. And tell me what age group these children fall into.
We have kids kindergarten through 6th grade, and we also try as much as we can to reach out to their families. And so we oftentimes will have an older sibling or a younger sibling wander in or take part in an activity or something. But as far as kids that are registered, they're kindergarten through 6th grade. And we meet with them every school day. So we're with the kids 180 days of the year, 3 hours a day. And we really get to know the kids, and of course our staff just we love every one of the children. And we have such a bond with the kids. It's a family atmosphere, that's for sure. And I think that the benefit of our foundation is that we are right at home with the kids. We're right in the community centers, right on site. And so the kids just feel like they are in their own community, they're with their own family, and their support is right near. They don't have to go far to find somebody that will embrace them and soothe their bad day or comfort them or celebrate with them.
And this is an after-school program?
Right.
And so is it mandatory or volunteer that the children participate?
Oh, no, it's not mandatory. It's whichever kids want to come and whichever parents encourage the kids to come. And so, and the kids have to attend at least twice a week for us to consider them active, because in order to go to things like our field trips or to come to our Christmas parties, and we get to do a lot of wonderful things. Most of our kids come every day. Some of them might have a church group or something that meets in the week, and so they'll miss a day. But it's not mandatory, but the kids come anyway. So.
I hope the parents and grandparents that are watching this show listen to what Toni just said, because there could be children out there that are not participating in this program that should be. So I'm asking you to encourage your grandchildren, encourage your children to participate. Tell us what schools are involved in this program again, Toni.
Well, it's not in the schools. It's in the actual communities. It's
okay,
Evergreen Manors, Fairview Hills.
Evergreen Manors, Fairview Hills.
And Logan Hills.
And Logan Hills.
And in the fall, we are going to a site that's on 2nd Street and 2nd Avenue. And so that we'll have access to the children that are in the Washington Jefferson Elementary School, so they can come after school. And when the kids come, they get a very, very healthy snack. And they get help with their homework, they get tutoring. We have a lot of enrichment activities like hands-on science and music and things like that. In the fall, the Altoona Area School District, the junior high and the high school, are going to join forces with us, and they're going to be sending students and teachers over to just help kids get really encouraged about school. They're going to be bringing music in and science in and sports. They're going to just join forces. Talk about a community effort.
Now, how long has this program been in existence?
Since 1999. We had one site, and then we just expanded it to 2 sites about 3 years ago, and then 3 sites 2 years ago, and now 4 sites. So we're growing.
So your program preceded Operation Our Town.
Yes, it did.
What did Operation Our Town contribute to your programs, and how has it made a difference?
Well, you can see exactly where Operation Our Town stepped in. When I said we started with one program, and that was at Evergreen Manors, and of course Dr. Zane Gates started the whole program, and he grew up at Evergreen Manors, so that's why we started there. It takes a lot of money, of course, to feed, say, 30 kids a day. At that time we only had one site, to provide school supplies, everything they need. When we started getting support from Operation Our Town, that's when we were able to go to 2 sites and 3 sites and now 4 sites. So we went from reaching 30 kids to now we reach 120 kids, and in the fall we'll reach 160 kids. It makes a big difference. And I wanted to add something, if it's okay.
Sure.
When Randy was here, and we were talking about how parents feel when he goes into a home and has to tell them about about a drug abuse incident. I often wonder if people stop to think about how many children have parents that are using drugs or parents that are incarcerated. And when we read in the paper about somebody who's been arrested, I don't know if we all stop to think about the children who were in that house and how they feel. And please don't think I'm saying that all of our kids have parents that are using drugs. That's far, far from it. But we certainly do have a percentage of kids. And Operation Our Town allows us to be there for these kids who come in, and we know that the day before the mother's picture was in the paper because she was arrested. And we know they're coming in and they tell us that they didn't know and how embarrassing it is to have their mother's picture in the paper. And we're there to, comfort them and say, we believe in you, and we know that your mother is a good person and that she loves you very much, but she has to get over her drug addiction. And so we're there to comfort them, but also to make sure that they see that they don't have to go down that path. And Operation Our Town is just a wonderful organization to help us stop that cycle of drug use and that cycle of incarceration.
Wow.
Yeah.
Does it ever make you cry?
I could easily cry right now telling you about that, but I'm being very brave.
Me too.
Because I love these children.
That's a
and
special,
I can
special
see.
thing.
I know what happened. They love their parents. They love them even when they know their parent is abusing drugs and going to jail. They still love them. They don't stop. It's very, very hard on the parent. Very, very hard on the child, I mean.
Now, these people that work in these programs, are they all volunteers? Are they professionals?
No.
Tell me who these individuals are that interact with these young people.
Okay, well, let me take a step back and tell you what our goals are, and then I can explain who works with them. But studies have shown that if kids do well in school, it makes a huge difference in their whole outcome in life. If they do well in school, in elementary school, then they will most likely do well in junior high and senior high. If they do that, they have a much greater chance of resisting any type of drug abuse. And if they can get through junior high and senior high without any type of drug abuse or any type of crime, then they have a fantastic chance of succeeding in life and being a responsible, independent citizen. And so we gear our after-school programs to character development, but also to academics. And so the staff that we hire, and we have 7 staff working at the after-school programs plus volunteers, we make sure that they have a college degree and have an academic educational background so they can really guide the kids to school success. But they have to really understand our mission and be able to cope with these situations that are not, thank goodness, everyday situations in most people's lives. And our staff is amazing. They really, really are. When I walk into the after-school programs and I see how our staff interact with the kids, they just really, really get it. They know what the kids need and they know how to guide them.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yes.
Now, if somebody wanted to volunteer for this program, how would they do that?
All they need to do is contact me, and my email address is very simple. It's just director@ggmf.org. Gloria Gates Memorial Foundation, GGMF.
Now, for those of you that are running to get a pencil and a paper, I'm going to ask Toni to repeat that again so that you have an opportunity to write it down, and she'll do it slow because if you're like me, you have to write slow. Say it again, Toni.
Director@ggmf.org.
And you can volunteer, and certainly something that's necessary. I'll tell you, as we're talking, I'm connecting the dots here, and you mentioned Dr. Gates, and now, ding, the bell goes on. Gloria Gates was
Zane's
mother.
Right, Zane's mother, and she taught him to care about others. She kept him out of trouble when a lot of his friends growing up did end up in jail.
She did a good job.
She did a heck of a good job with Zane. And he wants to continue what she started as far as reaching out to kids and getting them on the right path.
I keep hearing more and more about this gentleman and what he's giving back to the community. He's a very special man, isn't he?
He is my biggest inspiration.
And
he is
certainly
wonderful.
You're part of a terrific organization that's doing a lot for this community. How many, in your estimation, how many young people are in the program at the present time?
Right now we have 120 enrolled.
Wow.
We have a we can only take 40 per site. And some of our sites have a waiting list to get in, which is sad sometimes.
Yeah.
But then we usually try to get them all in, and we have 120 enrolled, and we usually get say 25 to 30 each day at each site, if not more.
Quickly,
So.
Toni, how did you get involved?
That's a good question. Believe it or not, my background is agriculture. I was working for Penn State University in horticulture for 24 years, and I just got to that point where I love my job, love agriculture, I miss it, but it was time to give back. So I took a very early retirement, and because I knew Zane from watching in the paper, and I knew I wanted to somehow get involved. And when I saw a position opened, and I said, this is the time that I take my early retirement and start to give back. And thank goodness he hired me, because it was a big leap. And I think we make a good team. He gives me a lot of good direction, and I carry out.
I would second that. Thank you for your participation. I guess, did you ever think that maybe now you're not growing vegetables, you're growing young people and
All the
fertilizing
time.
their lives, that
All
they're
the
going to
time.
grow up to mature citizens and give back?
I compare what we're doing quite often
Toni,
to
thank
nature.
you so much. I
Right.
bless you in your work. I hope
Thank you.
success, and I hope it grows to be 1,000 young people.
Thank you
for
so
joining
much.
us today.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Overlooking the city of Altoona, the Booker T. Washington Park had lost its luster. With that in mind, Operation Our Town and the Central Blair Recreation and Park Commission, in collaboration with the NAACP, set out to give back to the community.
The court was in bad shape. It needed some new backboards, rims. There was cracks. There was grass growing up onto the court itself.
New additions to the park will include a renovated basketball court, playground for families and friends, fitness stations, and a walking path.
I can't wait till everything is done so I can bring my grandkid to play in the playground.
Kids can use it for whatever their imagination brings them.
Members of the community already have noticed a difference.
Stuff for the kid to do to keep him out of trouble.
Welcome back. My guest for this segment is Dawn Witherspoon. And Dawn is representing the Blair County NAACP. And may I say that Dawn has represented the NAACP well, and his community and our town. He's been a friend. He's just been involved in so many things throughout my history. Dawn, it's a pleasure to have you here on our show.
Thanks, Dean.
And let me begin by saying Operation Our Town, basically you're a community that might have, how did it affect your community?
Well, basically it's all about diversity. We got families now, regardless of race, age, gender. They all come together, and our kids just need the tools to become productive citizens. Yeah.
And Operation Our Town, that means it's important not just to your community, but your community is important to the entire area.
Absolutely, Dan. Dean, Operation Our Town, it works. I was a director of the Booker T. Washington Center for years, and kids just need something positive to do in our community. We have sent 3 kids to the NBA. We have sent Candace Frutrell, who will be going into Blair County Hall of Fame on April the 28th. And, I think we have some more NBA players out there because you guys only beat us once, and we probably forfeited that.
Well, that was a lucky shot.
Yeah.
But, I remember those days, Dawn. I mean, we played together. We went to school together. We did things together. And so when I hear stories about Operation Our Town and reaching out to the communities and what were the problems that your community, specifically your neighborhood, what kind of problems did you face that Operation Our Town helped you meet?
Well, in the short term, I think we had some gang issues up there, and hopefully we're not building a haven that some of the people want to hang out there to do illegal stuff. Long term, we need training to neighborhood watch group. I know we have a program that's coming downtown on the 17th, and hopefully we don't end up like a Trayvon Martin situation that happened down in Florida. With standing your own ground. The NAACP will stand their own ground as far as civil rights, human rights, and diversity.
Yeah, isn't that what life's all about, Dawn? I mean, dignity for everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I know you've always espoused that. You've always been open to ideas and suggestions, and you've been an advocate of people talking to each other and getting along. I get a sense that sometimes fear plays a part of that. You say, well, I'm afraid to say hello because maybe that person's from a different neighborhood. Maybe they dress differently, and so you're hesitant to reach out your hand. But I thought that was one of the roles that athletics played in our growing up, is that we did reach out our hands to each other. And that's why I thought the Booker T. Washington Project was so important, because it gives young people a place to go and let off steam and get to meet each other. Tell me about that project. Tell me where it stands now. What's happening with it?
Well, we have a beautiful neighborhood. It's a family park now. We have an exercising area. We have a picnic area, and soon we'll have bricks and trees and Lucy Johnson display. We have a 3-on-3 basketball tournament. We have a garden, and don't get much better than that.
Now, tell me about, if somebody wanted to get involved with the Booker T. Washington Center to help it, how would somebody get involved, to volunteer, to say, what can I do? Contributions, time? How can people help?
All you have to do is you can call the NAACP, you can call Mike Holford at the Park and Rec, and start from there.
Okay. And why do you believe it's important to keep Operation Our Town going?
Well, we can see right now people got a better attitude. They look out for each other. They feel safer now that our town has gotten involved. But we still have some racial concerns of profiling and sentencing in the court. But working with our town, I think we're headed in the right direction.
Dawn, when you say that there's a problem with profiling, is it? Do you think it's rampant? Do you think it's occasional? How do you see this happening?
How would you like to go into Walmart's or any store and you have people following you? That's makes you feel uncomfortable. And I think that Blair County people are just wonderful people. But we got a ways to go. I'm in and out of the prison just about every day, and I'm dealing, just like what Toni said, I'm dealing with a lot of young people that are first-time offenders. But, Blair County and our town is doing a tremendous job, and I think we can help some of these kids.
What do you say to a first-time offender, Dawn? When you're visiting them in prison, doesn't that kind of make you sad that these young people have gone on this path?
Absolutely, Dean. And sometimes prison is not always the answer, you know. And Randy said earlier, if we can get them into some programs and get them educated, and I think, you know, the community would be better off for it.
Do you get a chance to follow these young people at all after they come out and start their program? Do you see any results from these things happening?
Oh, absolutely. You know, we talked. I talked to all the judges. I talked to law enforcement daily, and you know, we track some of these young people, and hopefully that we said something, or law enforcement said something. I have people call me from all over the country, you know, about thanking me for being there when they was time of need.
That's wonderful. That's fantastic. And you are there. You've been there for a long time, Dawn. You've really given back to the community. I'm sure your family's proud of you. I'm proud to call you my friend.
Yeah.
What problems do you see in the future for your community, for your neighborhood?
Well, drugs and that bath salt, and you know, drugs is the number one problem, and not only in Blair County but throughout the world. And Randy and the business community with Joe Hurd and them, they're doing a tremendous job. And we're going to have Mel Blunt in here on May the 5th at the Calvin House. He's going to be our guest speaker, and Mel runs a home over in Pittsburgh for at-risk youth, and we're going to get involved with his organization, and hopefully it'll rub off and come to Altoona.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I'll tell you, Dawn, you know, I'm proud to live in Altoona. I think we've, growing up here in my neighborhood and in your neighbor, you know, we had great experiences with each other and with our opportunities. And I guess that's what we're talking about now is making sure these young people have opportunities. If you went to jail and visited one of these young persons, what would you say to them about their opportunities for tomorrow?
Well, first of all, we got to identify the problem, and hopefully that Randy and his organization has said something to our organization that we can share with these young adults. And once they get out, we find them. You know, education is important, employment is important. Because I talked to a young man the other day, 17 years old, and I asked him the reason. Why did you start selling drugs? He said, I needed the money. You know, I come from a single-parent home, and my mother's got cancer and that whole thing. And just like Toni said, some of that stuff will make you cry, you know. But, you know, we just keep pushing forward, and hopefully we hit the right buttons.
That's wonderful. And I guess maybe with the rates of divorces and things today, there's single-parent homes and maybe homes that are broken, and these young people they kind of have to make their own way.
Absolutely.
And between you and I, it's good that they have role models like you, Dawn. I think you've been good for our community. And I can't help but think about a young man we had perhaps on our first Operation Our Town show who entered into the program, who was a drug abuser, who was, I don't know if he sold or not, but he was a drug abuser, entered the program and now was president of, I think the organization was Crossroads, that he had worked to that position where he now was helping other people avoid drug abuse and problems. And I guess another side of this we forget is with drug abuse comes crime.
Absolutely.
And we heard Randy say that our police departments are stretched to the limits. And so I encourage all of you to get involved and to say thank you. I don't know that we're all going to be able to volunteer our time, but you know what? We can certainly volunteer our money. You have $5, you have $10. Why not write a check to the NAACP or to the Booker T. Washington Center or to the Gates Memorial Fund or to Operation Our Town. Let's make this community even better than it is. Thank you, Dawn. It's always a pleasure to see you and talk to you, and I wish you a lot of luck.
Thanks, Dean.
Being a good neighbor means always doing your part to help your community grow. That's why S&T Bank is proud to continue the work of Mainline National Bank by supporting Operation Our Town, a coalition of businesses united to keep central Pennsylvania communities safe to encourage positive growth. We are deeply rooted in central Pennsylvania, and we support your efforts to help our communities grow. At S&T Bank, we believe in relationship banking, one customer at a time.
Welcome back. Our guest right now is someone very special. Joe Hurd is president and CEO of the Blair County Chamber of Commerce, and again, a person that I've respected for so long as a part of our community and who has given much back to his friends and neighbors. Joe, welcome.
Thank you, Dean.
Joe, what kind of changes have you seen in the business community as a result of Operation Our Town?
Well, certainly, Operation Our Town has been something that the business community has rallied around from the very start. I think whenever you talk about business in Blair County and in any community like ours, so much of the success of business is wrapped around the quality of life issues and whether or not people from outside the community will come here and support local businesses and how well the businesses support one another. So I've really seen it's been a great rallying point for business, and that you can talk about competition and all those things that are inherent with how businesses operate, but anytime you have something that really brings a community like the business community together and gets them all pointed in the same direction and has them really interacting in ways that benefits the community, it's always a good thing.
The title of this series of program is Taking Back Our Neighborhoods, and this program specifically, we've been talking about neighborhoods, but your neighborhood is really the entire business community.
It really is, and that's sometimes that's an easy thing to deal with because you see so many good things that happen as the result of common efforts, and sometimes it's a little more challenging to get your arms around it all. And
does it make it easier, Joe, to recruit new businesses when they know that we have programs like Keep It Safe, Keep It Going in place, and that Operation Our Town's working?
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, Dean. And I think one of the big concerns that I recall when Operation Our Town started among business people was, well, do we really want people from outside the area to know our dirty laundry, the problems that we're having, and will that diminish the support from outside the area when people look at Blair County and say, well, you know what, it's a bad place because they've got drugs, they've got all these. I think what's happened has been just the opposite of that. I think people who look at us look and say, you know what, we have these type of problems in all communities, and this just happens to be a community that has decided to do something about it. And I think the fact that we have taken the approach through Operation Our Town that we're not ashamed of what has happened here. We only have to be ashamed if we don't do something very aggressive about it. And certainly Operation Our Town has been it's been an example of what all communities should be willing to do, and I don't know that I've seen anything that even remotely compares to it.
Sometimes a headline or a soundbite will cause us to focus on a particular problem, and we tend to forget that this is all part of a giant circle, that if there's crime, there's poverty, there's a reluctance of businesses to come. People are afraid to spend money, and it's all a circle, and one feeds the other. And I remember one of our business people saying that they when they were ready to hire individuals, and they had 10 people sitting in a room, and they said, "We're ready to hire you. Now you need to go for a drug test," and several of them would just get up and walk out. That has to have an impact on the cost of doing business.
Oh, there really isn't any doubt about it. And that's a very, as we I think encounter more of the obstacles related to being a better community. I think certainly the drug issue affects us all in so many different ways, and the fact that employers are, having a difficult time very often hiring people that don't bring along the baggage that, having, drug issues and substance abuse issues, and as you mentioned, the home is also, impacted by those type of things. It's, businesses have really, they have a lot to chew on to try to get,
Joe, I love this new campaign, Buy Here, Live Here. I mean, how could you say it any better?
You know what? I don't know how you could do that. This was something that's been a passion, I think, of our Chamber of Commerce for such a long time, because we've always sensed that that so much of the money in our community that we really need to sustain a lot of the good quality of life issues that happen here was somehow exiting. And we, as a chamber, we cooperated with the Chambers of Commerce in 5 other counties to do a survey to find out how much money we were losing. And we were astounded by the fact that, in our county alone, just in the money that businesses spend on what they buy, $2.9 million a day was being spent on products and services outside our county. And that type of, I guess, leakage is the word that I hear most often. When you consider how significant that is, and how much we can accomplish by turning even a small percentage of that around, how much that means to a community like ours when we're talking about having businesses and individuals, just regular consumers, supporting efforts like Operation Our Town. It's extremely significant.
Joe, I'm sure you were part of the initial founding group that this Operation Our Town was founded here by our business people who realized that we had to do something to maintain a quality of life. And so why would we not support them? Why would we not show our thanks for what they've given back? All over this town, I see names on buildings, and the new Sheets Entrepreneurial Center, a great example of our businesses that give back. I am so happy when I'm driving down the road and I see a Sheets truck or an Imler Poultry or a Ward Trucking. That's our neighbors.
It really is, and I think it certainly is not the fault of consumers that they don't buy everything that they can locally. I think what we're trying to do is we're trying to change a mindset. We're asking people, before you go and purchase something online from a business outside the area, or actually go somewhere to some other area, for a shopping trip, to buy things that you think that you can't buy here, give the local people, give the local businesses a chance. Give the type of consideration that those businesses deserve, because when you go to the Little League baseball games and you see the businesses on the front or the back of those baseball uniforms, or you go to the symphony and you realize that a lot of the costs associated with the arts and the culture of the area are the result of what our local businesses invest in the area, it makes no sense really to not at least provide that consideration.
Now, the campaign is maybe 9 months, a year old?
The planning part of it has certainly taken that long. We just launched it in March, and people are going to see a lot more now media presence in terms of billboards and newspaper articles and television and radio spots, and you're going to hear a lot about this for a long time. And
what was the immediate reaction, Jeff?
The immediate reaction has been tremendous. I mean, people can really rally around the fact that we're taking a concept and really trying to drive home the importance of this. And to have the two banners as we do today with Operation Our Town and Buy Here, Live Here side by side is very appropriate, because they essentially are carrying a lot of the same messages.
Hand in hand. Joe, when I retired, I suspect everybody that retires starts thinking, now where am I going to live out my retirement? Okay? And I will confess, I went through that stage. And I examined other states. I looked at tax models. I looked at cost of living models, all the things. And I came to the conclusion that this is the place. Our medical care is outstanding. Our educational system is terrific. Our community is a safe place. For whatever we say about our problems, it's a pretty nice place to live. I think the Chamber of Commerce and some of our other groups get a lot of credit for that, and you, Joe, as a leader of that organization.
Well, it's been, all I think you have to do, Dean, is talk to people who lived here, left here, and came back, and ask them what made you come back. And I think invariably young people in particular, we talk about losing so many of our young people to other areas, and surprisingly, there are a lot of those young people who 5-10 years are back here, and they'll tell you, we didn't realize how good we had it until we went somewhere else and saw what wasn't in those places, and what tremendous things that we have here.
Joe, I've lived in 3 other states and worked for a lot of banks until the auditors came in and then I had to move on. But I found that this place is so special because in many areas you see development and you see things happening, but in this area it happens because you see familiar names on the billboards. You see these are local people giving back to their home. This is a special place.
Yeah, and I think when we had an event a couple years ago where we brought somebody in from outside the area to talk about the importance of family businesses to an area, and the person was just flabbergasted by the number of family businesses that we have here. And I think that's been a huge component of this. I think that type of business, and it's certainly not to speak ill of any non-family businesses, but the number of family businesses we have here, I think, makes such a difference because people are so invested in the community. And I think that investment is the one thing that has really helped Operation Our Town in particular to take off, and I think will help Buy Here, Live Here to be just as prominent in how things evolve with not only with our economy, but again, the quality of life. And we're a pretty well-kept secret, and I'm not sure that that's a good thing necessarily, because we certainly would invite people to come and see the good things that we have going here. But I don't think we can ever minimize what it's like to be able to have the opportunities that exist here.
We're talking to Joe Hurd, who is president and CEO of our Chamber of Commerce, and we talk about the businesses and what they do, and they certainly do a terrific job, but they can't do it alone. That means that we all have to participate. We said earlier in the show, Buy Here, if you may not be able to make a contribution to a local charity, but you can certainly shop at a local merchant. You can certainly support the people who support the programs that we have here. You have to have milk and bread, so you may as well buy from somebody that's going to give back to the community.
Right, and we're encouraging through this program. It's a two-way street. If we're proposing that people look here to buy locally, it's very incumbent upon the businesses to do what they need to do in terms of making what they sell more available, maybe even price-wise, making some concessions to keep business here. But the business community is very, businesses here are under siege anyway because of regulations and all the things that, the normal things that they're dealing with on a regular basis. And it's tough enough to be a business staying afloat with, some of the economic challenges that there are. But the people here, I think, and the response that we've had from our businesses has just been outstanding. We've had businesses tell us that since this started, they have gone back and looked at whatever checks they've written for the past 3 months just to see whether there was something that they could have done with local businesses. So,
Joe, thank you. Thank you for your participation. Thanks for giving back. You're a good man.
Pleasure to be here.
And it's a pleasure to call you my friend.
Thanks, Steve.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your participation in watching our program today. Sometimes I think our greatest enemy is complacency. This is a battle that's ongoing, and so consequently, we really need to step up and step forward. It's not over and it's not easy, but we're going to keep fighting until this is the perfect place to live. I want to share one more thing. We talked about volunteers. This is a number where you can call and get problems or volunteer. Contact Altoona Helpline, 946-9060. 946-9060. I'm sorry, that's 50. Thank you very much and have a great day.